Welcome. Scott here. Here is a quick boss guide for the upcoming raid event, Lithely Bends the Tail, as known as Cray Claw raid. The synergy units for the event are the Cloud of Darkness, Setzer, Serah, and Sherlotta. The featured units will be getting their force enhancement boards unlocked. Cloud of Darkness FR will be making its debut. Both Cloud of Darkness and Setzer will be getting their C90 awakening and reworks. We will be fighting two Cray Claw. They have 85 million HP each. They are weak against thunder and they absorb water elemental attacks. They are immune to max HP down debuff. The turn requirement is 75. The HP requirements is 15,000. Before I continue further, here is a small disclaimer clause for the video. The guide is written based on the time that the event was released for the Japanese version. Please do note that it is possible that the boss fight mechanics might differ when the actual event is released in global. As we are no longer have Lithely plus fights, the boss guide will be focused primarily on Shinryu fights. In Shinryu, you need to understand the effects gained by the boss as the force gauge build up, its force ability and its force time effect. As your party has low force levels at the start of the era, it is highly certain that the boss force gauge will build up faster than yours. To have a better understanding on the basics of the force gauge mechanics and Shinryu fights, I have done a video explaining the mechanics. I have included the link to the video under the comments and video description for your quick reference. For this fight, the boss force gauge is broken into 3 thresholds. When the boss gauge is more or equal to 40%, the boss party will gain speed up of 10%. When the boss gauge is more or equal to 60%, the boss party will gain speed up of 20% and your party turn rate will goes down by 30%. When the boss gauge is more or equal to 80%, the boss party will gain speed up of 30% and your party turn rate will goes down by 50%. The boss force gauge will build up faster as its HP is lowered. You can refer to the table on the screen for the percentages. Compared to the previous fight, this fight isn't really a dangerous one or toxic as the infamous Dimensions Transcendence Tier 10 fight. The boss has a predictable moveset. Due to the impact made by the speed up and turn rate down auras, do expect the boss to have a lot of turns in between your party turns. At the 100% threshold, the boss will use its force ability, Shake Off Plus Plus, and activates its force time for 5 turns. The boss force ability, Shake Off Plus Plus, is a guaranteed delay of 1 turn for your party and allows the boss gain brave to 100% of their initial brave. Upon using the force ability, the boss will enter into its force time where the gauge will start to emit a red hue with counter of 5 on its gauge. When the force time is activated, the bosses will get 50% boost to its brave and HP damage. It will further boost its turn rate by another 50%. In other words, the boss will double its turn rate. To cancel the enemy's force time, you need to use a magic force ability that delays, which is only Cloud of Darkness FR. As long as you have the tools to handle the boss's basic mechanics, there is actually nothing much to worry about the boss force time for this fight. Now let's proceed with some party setup recommendations. Recommended calls abilities. To ensure that you are able to constantly break them, it is important to inflict defense down debuffs. Example of calls abilities that inflict defense down calls are Ferris, Titus, Jack, and Vanille. To speed up the fight, using HP damage up debuff calls like Karaseme, Seymour, Fran, Ignis, Lily Set, Maria, and Dark Knight Cecil are useful. Although a bit trickier to use, aura type HP damage up calls like Kamari, Alisai, Priyash, Leo and Locke are also viable. Most recently C90 units have aura type HP damage up bonuses. You can use Dissidia DB Call Finder to find out more. The boss will gain a yellow aura that result them gaining 200% HP damage resistance and a whooping 1.7 million HP regen per field turn at the 79% and 19%. To negate those auras, you need to bring delay calls. Examples are Quistis, Cypher, Cloud and Seymour. Quistis has AoE delay on her LDCA and single target delay on her base call. Cypher has AoE delay on both calls. Both Cloud and Seymour have AoE delay on their LDCA. Next, I will be covering units that will be useful to handle the fight mechanics. For any endgame fights like Lithely and SHINRYU, it is always recommended to bring supports for their aura and buffs. You can consider bringing Serah, Lena, Sherlotta, Yuna, Garnet, Purim, Rem, and Ramza. Serah can make your party hit hard with her guaranteed launch debuff, while Lena can ensure your party is always safe with her powerful HP regen buffs. Both Lena and Serah are top-notch budget supports. As the turn count is tight, it is important that you complement with strong auras like Sherlotta, Garnet, and Ramza. Be careful when you are bringing Garnet, as the boss absorbs water elemental. Both Ramza and Serah has AoE delay on their LD skills. As the boss will take a lot of turns due to the speed up auras on themselves and lower your party's turn rate, it is advisable to bring a damage mitigator if you doing a hit and counter run. You can consider Leela, Beatrix, Snow, Zac, Edge, Warrior of Light, Orin, and Golov. Evasion tanks like Leela, Golov, or Edge are great here. Leela excels in this fight and will help to keep the turn count low with her evade and warp mechanics. In addition to the support and tanks, you can bring the following units if you have them. As you need to bring delay utility to handle the yellow aura that the boss gains at the 79% and 19% HP threshold, you can consider bringing one of the following units: the Emperor, Quistis, Cypher, Cloud, and Garland. As the turn count is tight, off-turn damage will also helps a lot here. You can consider bring Noctis, Yang, Cisnei, Kain, and Freya. Yang will get his C90 awakening in the next event and will become a very good budget follow-up LD unit. Optimal FR to use for this fight are Terra, Ursula, Cloud of Darkness, and Camlanod. If you fulfill the 3 conditions of Ice, Disable, and Launch, you can nuke the boss down fast before it could pose any threat with Camlanod FR. Camlanod has AoE delay on his EX. Terra FR will great for nuking strategies, and she can help a lot in reducing the turn count with her free turn spamming phase. Ursula offers one of the strongest auxiliary FR, and you can easily gain access to 999% HP damage bonus with supercharging. Pair the supercharger with Kain firing lancets in the background and you can easily kill these bosses in no time. Cloud of Darkness FR is an FR that benefits a magic-oriented team and delay with breaks or no breaks. She has gained a significant upgrade with her C90 awakenings. As SHINRYU is about building up your force gauge chargers units are great to deploy here. Characteristics of Force Charger are: the unit have substantial amount of instant turn non-attacking abilities. At max force enhancement level 30, one such instant turn ability can supercharge the force gauge by a whopping 50%. You can easily amplify your force time damage by abusing the supercharging mechanics. Examples of such force gauge chargers units are Pernello, Kryle, Sherlotta, Braska, and Ignis. For other recommendations, you can consider the following. For tanks, you can bring Warrior of Light and Orin. Brave damage mitigator like Afma is very useful here. Orin has AoE delay on his EX. As the boss takes a lot of turns and most of their attacks are mainly physical, you can consider bringing Reno and abuse his FR mechanics. You can bring the standard damage nuker units like Machina, Titus, and Terra and nuke the boss with a FR-powered burst phase before they could activate their force time. Setzer has gained significant upgrades with his C90 awakening. Rainbow Brave damage is always very useful in handling high defenses aura. His red card now offers AoE delay and his freeze joker becomes framed as well. X-Death HP Poison can help to counter the boss' own HP regen, and his debuffs are great in controlling the boss' brave gains. As the boss has strong defenses, it is highly advisable to have your party with brave damage up auras or dealing weakness damage by bringing Ashe or Lena. Ashe is a good thunder and holy elemental enchanter, and her powerful Queen's Order can help you to raise your damage output to even higher limits. Alisai is great for her free turns and damage output. Although she didn't get any rework and significant upgrades, Serah is still a viable support unit with her debuff-oriented auras, and her poison debuff can help to control the brave of the boss a lot. On the screen, you will see a timeline showing the HP thresholds triggers that you need to watch out for. Like Lithely, SHINRYU fights also features aura boosts for the boss when their HP are depleted to a certain threshold. The stats boosts are triggered at the start of the fight and 49%. Like other SHINRYU fights, the enemy's force gauge will charge faster as their HP depletes. As the enemy's force gauge reaches 40% and above, the boss will gain speed up. When the enemy's force gauge is raised to 60% and above, the boss will lower your party's turn rate as well. The boss force ability Shake Off ++ is a guaranteed non-attacking AoE delay and allows the boss gain brave to 100% its initial brave after using it. The boss will gain boost to its brave and HP damage. It will further raise its turn rate. Don't be alarmed that you see a chain of boss turns lining up after your party turns when the force time is active. At the 79% and 19% HP threshold, the boss will enter to its defensive posture where it will gain a yellow aura. When the aura is activated, the boss will gain 5% HP regen or 1.7 million HP regen that activates every field turn. It will be triggered even during a unit's burst phase or the summon phase. The boss will also gain 200% HP damage resistance. To negate the aura, you need to delay the boss. Stand by your delay utility in form of calls or bring units that have delay. The lesser time that you allow the boss to stay in the aura, the greater it will help to ensure you meet the turn count. It is advisable to use your burst phase early once the boss get out of the yellow aura that you trigger at the 79%. Make use of Brother Summon to cancel the aura at the 19% HP threshold. The boss has a standard damage rotation cycle. It will start off with Tail Drill, followed by Scissor Grab before ending with Slime. I will talk more about the rotation in the subsequent slides. Overall, this fight isn't that difficult as long as you have units that you can handle the mechanics. Evasion tanks like Leela, Glove, or Edge will have a nice field day in this battle. Counter units like Orin, Gladio, Core, or Beatrix also works wonders here. If you have Camlanaut, Machina, Terra or Titus, you can easily do boss no turns thanks to Camlanaut broken FR mechanics. Sherlotta can does heavy amounts of damage with her own burst phase if have her fully geared. If you have Reno FR, you can deploy a duo team of him and a cover tank like Orin or Glove. You can watch the boss counter to death by themselves. Make sure you bring a Thunder Enchant Call for your party to abuse his force time. Of course, stand by your delay calls for the HP triggers so that you can delay and break the boss aura stance. Now let's proceed with the boss mechanics proper. Similar to any Lithely fights, for SHINRYU fights, the boss will also gain stats boosts and brave gain reduction auras when you deplete the boss's HP to a certain threshold. However, SHINRYU bosses will also gain HP damage reduction auras as well. The thresholds trigger for this fight is at the start of the fight and 49% HP threshold. At the start of the fight, it will boost its defense stats by 200%. It will raise its brave damage and brave gain reduction auras to 80%. It will also reduce your HP damage dealt by 50%. At 49% HP threshold, it will further boost its defense stats to 300% and the HP damage dealt reduction auras to 80%. To handle the defense stats boost, you can inflict defense down calls. To handle the brave gain reductions, you can bring a brave gain up support like Agrias, Ram, or Quistis. With the recent units released, you shouldn't have any problem in handling the brave gain or damage reduction auras. For HP damage reduction auras, HP damage up calls will only partly offset against the reductions. However, you can easily overwrite them with your party force time. As we progress through the era, we will gain access to units with FR that allows you to build up your force time HP damage bonuses up to 999%. Learning on how to take full advantage of the damage window in Shinryu fight holds the key on how to make Shinryu fights easier. Now, I will be covering the boss key mechanics in detail. The boss has a standard attack rotation cycle. It will start off with Tail Drill, which is a single melee brave attack. It will inflict a 70% max HP down debuff for 5 turns and grants the boss 150% defense boost for 1 turn. You cannot abuse Yuffie-Chi's mechanics here as the boss are immune to the debuff. It is important to have strong brave damage aura. Units that have Ignore defense or Dispel utility are great for handling that 150% defense up buff. It will follow up with a single brave plus HP attack called Scissors Grab on the following turn. The attack will also inflict 3 turn 20% attack down debuff. Lastly, it will end the rotation with Slime. Slime is a single target magic brave attack. It inflicts a 30% speed down debuff along with a sap debuff for 3 turns. The sap effect will drain brave that is equivalent to 10% of the boss max brave. When their brave is high, the boss can execute a wallop instead. Combined with the force time auras, the bosses will bound to get a lot of turns. You can delay them to infinity or bring a counter or evasion oriented setup to handle the boss mechanics. Now let's talk about the yellow aura that the boss gains at the 79% and 19% HP threshold. Upon activation, you will see the following prompt: assumed a defensive, recuperative posture, and follow by another prompt where you need to delay them to break the stance. While the auras are activated, the boss will gain the following 2 properties. 1. They will gain 5% HP regen per field turn, which equates to 1.7 million HP regen. The regen will be activated for every field turn. In other words, it will also get triggered during your burst or summon phase. 2. The boss will also gain 200% HP damage resistance. Most likely you will be dealing 0 HP damage to the boss until you break the stance. Do note that the trigger is independent of each boss HP. So, try to time the trigger close to each other so you can dispel both of them together with an AoE delay utility. Consider bringing the following options for delay utility. For LDCA, you can consider bringing Seymour, Quistis, Cypher, Cloud, and Ramza. For units that have AoE delay utility, you can consider bringing Cloud of Darkness, Camlanod, Kain, Orin, Emperor, Selphie, Reigns, or Garland. Unless the burst unit that you are using is Garland or Cloud of Darkness, it is advisable to trigger your burst phase early right after the deactivation of the aura at 79% HP threshold. Use Brother's Summon or any of the aforementioned delay utility to handle the 19% HP threshold. I have come to the last slide of the guide. By now, you should have a FR. Generally, you just charge up your force gauge. Have the FR unit activate their force time with their force ability. Prepare for a big damage phase either through a unit burst phase or supercharge the gauge with Kane's follow-up. To build up the bonuses efficiently, you need bring a force gauge charger. Examples are Pernello, Kryle, Ignis, Sherlotta or Braska. At force level 30, this units can boost the force charge with 50% with their instant turn, non-attacking ability on top of the force time conditions. If you bring Kane or using Kane BT friend as support, have him activate his BT aura and let him stay in the air firing the lancets while your force gauge charger is spamming his or her instant turns. If you have Camlanod fully built with FR and BT, you can abuse his powerful FR mechanics by fulfilling 3 of the following conditions. 1. Constant launches. Selphie LD debuff, Kai's hero support or Sid Reigns LDCA on your burst unit. 2. Ice enchant. You can use Karasame LDCA for party ice enchant or bring an ice enchanter like Celis, Onion Knight, or Karasame himself. Snow also offers party-wide ice enchant with his BT aura. 3. Make sure you inflict a turn disable debuff on the boss. Camlanod BT is the easiest to set up. You can go through a setup process for this as well. When all conditions are met, the party can meet 80% HP damage bonus with a full party launch. Now let's recap on the boss key mechanics. The boss has a standard attack rotation cycle. It will start off with tail drill, followed by scissor grab before ending with slime. Prepare your brave damage mitigation or bring brave control utility to minimize the brave that the boss could gain from those brave hits. Thanks to the speed down and turn rate up auras, you will see the boss get more turns as the battle progress. Counter-oriented team and turn manipulators are very useful to handle the mechanics. Stand by an AoE delay call when you are about to approach 79% and 19% HP threshold to break the defensive posture stance. If you don't do so, the boss will heal itself 1.7 million HP per field turn and you will be dealing 0 HP damage until you break the stance. The turn count is tight. Follow-up attacks, free turns, launches and off-turn damage hold the keys to ensure you clear within the turn limit. It is worth noting that during the time that the event was released in JP, there is a bug that allows you to cancel the boss force time when you do a magic AoE delay attack. Now I will make a quick overview on the FR of the featured unit, Cloud of Darkness. She is a magic-oriented FR unit and you will gain bonus uptick whenever you delay the boss and deal magic brave damage. You will uptick the HP damage bonus by 5% with magic brave damage. You will get that 5% HP damage bonus for her follow-up as well. As part of her force enhancement boards, she will get 5% HP damage bonus uptick for her S2 during force time. Her standard delay skills, whether it comes from her EX, S2 or modified S2 where her darkness stacks are 5, you will get 50% HP damage bonus. She will get 5% uptick for every skill used as well. If her follow-up breaks the other target, you will get another 25% with 20% for the delay from break and 5% for magic brave damage. Do note that delay will only uptick once. If Cloud of Darkness delay a target to trigger a launch with Garland delay in launch, you will only uptick the HP bonus by 50%. However, you can make use of another unit BT phase like Garnet with Garland delay and Cloud of Darkness providing follow-up damage. To optimize her potent HP damage, always target to stack up her darkness stacks to 20 before initiating her burst phase. With this, I have come to the end of my boss guide presentation. Hopefully you find it useful. If you like the video, please give a like. Please subscribe to my channel for future gaming content. Good luck for the fight tomorrow. Bye.